Müller von.
I am from Austria, southern Austria. I started my first company with 18, developing some web pages, as many people did. Then I moved over to Vienna. I studied business. I opened up my own restaurant with some friends, and we developed a solution for ordering in the restaurant directly with tablets and built a POS system and stuff like this. And we sold our restaurant after 2 years. Then I decided to finish university, move over to Berlin, figured out that actually venture capital is not so exciting to work in, at least not from an analyst perspective. And then I joined N26 in January 2015. And that's where the story starts. I took over the product management and built up, I think, an amazing team. And have been working on a really amazing product, and I want to share specifically our story around the product organization with you tonight, because we have been growing from 15 people when I joined to 200 to today in 2 years, and I think we had several reorganizations and a lot of interesting learnings over that period, and I'm happy to share some of the knowledge with you, and also happy to discuss stuff afterwards. So maybe a very short introduction for those who do not know N26. We are a mobile-first bank account. Since last year, we also have our own banking license. So before that, we were operating with a partner from Munich. And our mission is to build world's best banking experience and replace traditional banks with the mobile phone. We have a variety of different banking products already, but I will get a little bit more into detail when I'm telling the story of N26 and how the product organization basically changed. The very start of N26 was around summer 2013 when Valentin and Maximilian, our two founders, started Papaya. They wanted to start with a teenager's credit card, basically, and said, okay, that's an interesting idea. Teenagers have the full control over their credit card. Parents have also some kind of control on what the teenagers spend the money on. And they started off with this idea, went to the beta phase to figure out that actually the market is too small. You cannot really earn money. The acquisition costs are really high. It's kind of a challenging thing. And the parents were rather using the product than the kids because they like push notification for every transaction, block their card at any time. So this stuff was like rather more interesting to the parents than to the teenagers. So in the beta phase, they decided to make a pivot and change the product, and going away from having only a credit card to be a fully fledged bank account with an IBAN and all this stuff around. So it took another 6 to 8 months to change all the technical implementations, implement another payment service, implement with Wirecard, and then in January 2015, on the 26th of January, we launched the first version of the N26 product, the N26 bank account. It was really an MVP, because if you imagine a bank account, you would actually expect balance statements, you would expect standing orders, you would expect to do multi-currency transfers, you would expect a lot of things, but we did not have any of those things. It was very minimalistic, and everyone said, it's interesting, maybe as a second account, I might use it a little bit. But we said, okay, let's get it out, let's get started. We had around 26,000 people on our waiting list at that time, so we kind of were able to create a buzz around our brand and around this idea of revolutionizing and changing banking. And so we just shipped and got started with a first product. At that time, we have been around 15 to 20 people, mainly a product team. So more than half of the company was product, around 10 people, I think. A few backend guys, a few front-end guys, one junior designer. And I joined in the beginning to support in many different fields, mainly working with the Android guy to ship the Android the app in the early days. And then just right after the launch, the former head of product and the CTO decided to leave the company and start their own business. And surprisingly, they took the whole team but 2 people with them. So one Android guy and one backend developer stayed. It took 2 or 3 months. So that was kind of the first big reorganization and my first challenge to actually rebuild the product and technology team and to continue grow this product. Luckily, we got a pretty nice funding from US, from Peter Thiel and some supporters here in Berlin from Early Bird just before that. So we had enough money, we had a good brand to rebuild the team and start kind of from scratch. This took some time. And we continued to build some smaller features at that time, but we were mainly focused on rebuilding the team and growing the product step by step. This was our product back then, and the mission of this first 1.5 years was basically just get something out there. And we raised this 10 million round based on the first kind of proof of concept that people are interested in mobile bank account and that you can create kind of a hype around it, and this is like something that people care about. This was the baseline for the first funding round. And then the second part of the first year in 2015, we focused a lot on growth, showing that we can also grow this company, grow the customer base. So we were opening our waiting list just in October because it took us almost 10 months to clear the waiting list and invite all these customers. And then we opened up the waiting list, and we implemented our first product partners. We implemented our first banking product, and at that time we have been scaling really fast our product team. We have been 90 employees by the end of 2015 in the whole company, and it was a product team of around 20 people. So at that time, it was the first time for me that I had to hire additional product managers. So I had one junior PM who did a fantastic job, who was working with me, but 20 people were just too much. I had 15 performance talks every month. And so it was just not efficient anymore. So we decided to bring additional product managers on board and to kind of create another layer of management. So we kind of hired a head of mobile, a head of web development, a head of QA. So in addition to the department level, we were forced to introduce another layer of hierarchy, because in a startup you always try to avoid building hierarchies and decision processes, but still at some point one person can only handle, I think, 7 to 8 people, and then you're busy just managing those guys. So we had this challenge of how do you scale a company by not destroying this startup mentality and keeping up the speed. This was our team by the end of 2015, like a bunch of crazy people. And then we actually also thought, okay, how do we further grow our company, and what is actually the next step? Now we have a fully fledged bank account. This was the goal of 2015. We have an overdraft, we have standing orders, balance statements, all this stuff. So we said, okay, let's maybe extend the whole stuff, and let's go from unbundling, which is a huge trend in the fintech scene at the moment. So we have a lot of very good specialized startups that do one special thing very, very well and provide additional value to customers or also to traditional banks. And let's go for rebundling to bring all these amazing startups and amazing ideas together and build one platform for banking. And this was kind of the kickoff for this new part of our product strategy. This is kind of some of these partners we have already integrated, like TransferWise, like Vamo. To many of these partners we are talking to right now, but this is kind of the idea of building the fintech hub. But in order to achieve that, we basically need 2 things. We need our own banking license, because Wirecard was a good partner to start with, but it's not a partner to scale because it's too expensive, and in particular their technical systems are not made for today's type of product development. So we said, okay, we need a banking license, and we need unit economics that allow us growing. So in the last year, we were really focusing on becoming a bank and tune a little bit on our unit economics before we keep on growing again. So we started building the FinTech Hub with integrating TransferWise and Vamo. And based on this fantastic growth in the first year, in 2015, we were able to raise a 40 million round in summer this year with having Li Ka-ching invested into our company, who is the richest man in Asia. And this also gave us a further push and also helped us to get the banking license, which requires you to have quite some money actually. So we got the banking license, we got an additional funding. So we had this huge challenge last half a year to actually build a bank and build the systems of a bank of today's times. So we're really focusing a lot on this, which is kind of a challenge for a product team, because you cannot build a lot of amazing new features for customers because they don't see what is going on behind the curtains. But we know that if we can all transition all this stuff to our new platform, we will be able to build a lot of amazing products in the future. So we try to find a middle ground of building a few features to keep our customers exciting, but also doing the transition in the background and tweaking our unit economics a little bit, which was, for example, we had to introduce something like a fair use policy because ATM costs were just like killing our business. And to revolutionize an industry, it's not just about changing it on one side, so not just changing banks, but it's also changing behavior. And we decided that our strategy is to push and enforce a no-cash society. We want to provide the best product for someone who says, I want to live without cash. I know it's difficult, in particular in Berlin, but we have strong partners helping us and supporting us, like MasterCard on this, and we really want to provide the best account and best product for people who say, I'm living without cash and I'm making a no-cash society possible. And this is also part of revolutionizing it. To like both sides need to do a step into the middle, banking and the end customer. Other than that, you cannot change it. So we were introducing a few things to have a downside protection for our growth, to enable growth again. And by the end of November, beginning of November, we were able to launch our own bank. And today, actually, our transition period to transfer the accounts ended. And we were amazed that more than 90% of our customers, of our active customers, decided to move over to our new bank. And this was quite a challenge for our product team. And today, we are around 55 people. So we more than doubled from last year again in the product team. And we can already see again that we have some changes are going on in terms of the structure. We have a backend team of, 40, 50 people. And so you cannot have one backend lead leading all of them because you can't handle 15 direct reports. So we need to start thinking of like, how is the backend team actually organized? And at that point, I want to tell you a little bit about how we organize today. We work in cross-functional teams. We have 6 cross-functional teams at the moment, having a PO leading the team, and every team is up from 3 to 8 people, and every team has everything to ship a product end to end. So if it requires back and front and QA design, everything is within the team. However, it's kind of a matrix organization. So we have a mobile lead, design lead, a backend lead that is like overseeing processes and overseeing that we are all together moving in the right direction, not one Android developer is going that direction, the other one is going a completely different direction. So this is this matrix organization works really well. And the combination of a product owner who is responsible for the why and what, and the functional leads for the how to do it, and who will do it, that really works well for us. We launched in 17 markets in December last year, so just not too long ago. And this was the first step back into growth, as the whole last year was more about becoming the bank and growing and making a business model that is also able to grow. We have been launching additional countries, and now it's about to build more cool products this year to complete this idea of having a fintech hub. So we want to build insurance products, credit products, saving and investment products, so we can provide everything with one click from one app and keep it as simple as possible and as enjoyable as possible. That's kind of the challenge for the product team. And this brings me to the second topic. It's really about to find the right process and structure for your current setup. And if it's necessary, you need to change it all the time. And we have basically a reorganization every 6 months going on to learn fast, fail fast, and really adapt to all the change fast. And that helped us basically a lot to build what we have built over the last couple of months and years. Okay, you can't see it here, but actually the traditional cycle is you have an idea, you build, you launch, you learn. And we try very much according to the idea of the Google Design Sprint. Maybe some of you read the book, to like have an idea and validate it before building it, to speed up processes. And if you look at traditional banks, it takes them 2 years to build a credit product. And it's mainly because of hierarchies and politics, but it's also because it takes them ages to build something, it takes them ages to launch it, and then also to learn, and then when the iteration happens, a new technology is out and you can actually start from the beginning. So we try to really push hard for that and follow kind of this process, starting with a problem and having very early on a priority check. So on the company side, we decide on the fields which are important and prioritize the fields. For example, credit is at the moment more important than savings investment for us. So we decide on the topics priority, and then the product owner is responsible to prioritize within their field. So our product owner for the credit team is responsible to decide whether it's better to first go and launch an overdraft in Austria, or whether we should implement a credit insurance first, because he knows best, or they know best what to do first. So they go for a priority check very early on to see whether it fits to the strategy. Then we go into a research phase, which is totally different for every product. Sometimes it's a lot of customer interviews we do to understand the problem. If we build in particular products we are not really familiar with, for example, credit, then we have a first decision and alignment meeting, whether we all agree on the vision of the product and whether we all agree on what we want to achieve with this product. And then we go quickly into the prototyping, building a few prototypes using all the tools you know, from Envision, Flinto, and so on. And our design team is working together with us from a very early stage on. And we're building a few prototypes. We invite around 8 to 10 users to test the prototypes with us intensively, give us feedback. We learn on the prototypes. And with a UX concept, we basically go into development, and then during development we refine all the details in the process, and do also user interviews during the development phase, bring developers into the interviews, bringing our CEO into the interviews, bringing everyone into the interviews to make them aware what actually customers think about the products. And if you're good, you are able to achieve this process in a week, which is according to the Google Design Sprint, you kind of put 7 people from different disciplines into one room, make them solve one big problem in a week. We did this once, it worked out really well, and we will do it again, in particular for problems where we have no clue where to start with. We make such a design sprint, and it really helped to make the team super engaged for the product. Also the developers understand the problem much better in that case. And one last thing now, and then I'm done. If you look at this is just team size. You really should focus on having small teams. If you have 14 people working in one team, it's 91 lines of communication. So it's like getting really inefficient. While if you have 7 people, it's 21 lines of communication. So I think a maximum is absolutely 8 people. And this is one of the key learnings for us. You need to understand if one team is too big, and if they are not working on the same topic anymore, they're working on different topics, but they have a stand-up together, they start not caring about the topics anymore. So you need to put the same people co-located in a small team and make them responsible for the stuff they are doing. That helps us a lot in changing the organization over and over again. And that actually helped us to build a, I think, pretty nice product. And I'm happy to answer some more questions now or also later with a beer. We are looking for a lot of great people in different positions to join us, so join the N26 family and enjoy the night with this family here. Thank you, guys.
You said you changed your organizational structure over and over again and now ended with a matrix kind of organization. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on the steps you took on the way and how that changed, ending up in a matrix structure now?
I think the very first and most important thing is getting focus on a company side, having a focus from the top management, saying, okay, this is the most important thing for the company. These are the two most important things, and forget everything else, focus on this. This was the most important thing in terms of helping our organization to focus on the goal. So you kind of have a mission for every year or every half a year, a quarter, whatever, and then you build the organization to achieve this mission and not build an organization to do whatever. So figure out what you want to do and achieve, and then figure out how you organize your teams to best achieve that. And make people not being afraid of changing seating every 3 weeks, changing teams every now and then. So that was the first thing for us, which was very important. Before that, we were one big team with 17, 18 people, and just working on one list of topics, but then complexity grew. Like, how do we take care of maintenance? Is this bug more important than building a new product? And so we decided, okay, we need some smaller teams, feature teams, and we started with 3 feature teams. One feature team taking care more of the platform and also taking care of problems around the platform. 2 feature teams, one taking care of growth topics and following our growth strategy, and one building the FinTech Hub products. When we figured out that growth is actually not so important for us anymore in this year 2015, we just changed the purpose of the team and said, hey guys, actually we learned that growth is not the key for this year and we need to refocus the company. And everyone was fine with that because people want to work on the most important things, but they need to understand what are the most important things. So understanding this and then being not afraid of changing the organization is very important. Though I think it's a challenge to bring on team leads or heads because they want always the best for their web team, their mobile team. So you need to also train them that they should think cross-functional. And we can only work if, I don't know, mobile is only successful if web is successful. And this was kind of a challenge for us to not have silos, even though we have a matrix. And there we really need teams that get responsibility so that everyone in the team feels responsible for whatever they are doing. I think these were some things that helped us. In particular, in the transition period where our heads of mobile was leading the team plus also developing full-time in one team. That was kind of a challenge. Now the team is big enough that he kind of takes care of the special things and the teams are really focused. But yeah.
Hi. You mentioned about the Google design process that you implemented. It's something I also feel very interesting. And you mentioned that you do it within 1 week. So my question is, how do you make sure that you complete this process, right from defining a problem to making a prototype within one week? So basically, how is your focus? Where is your focus? And how do you make sure that all the forces from product side, the design side, and the developer side are together to make sure that it is implemented within 1 week? Because for me, going to the customers, taking interviews, making research itself, it's a big task, I would say. So could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah. Obviously, there's some preparation happening beforehand. So we're bringing the experts from different fields into one room for 8 hours per day, 5 days in a row, while the product manager already kind of did some basic research before, competitor research, also talking to a few customers, but not into detail. And then we define a problem. Let's take one problem. How could we implement a voucher into our app to create benefit for customer, but also create a business out of it? Like one example. And then you define a problem, a bigger one, which you want to solve. And you bring people from different disciplines. We had one from marketing, one from product, one from business, one from one backend developer, one front-end developer, one designer, and one from customer service, and one facilitator. And the facilitator makes sure that you really stick to the schedule and really move on and stick to all the different methodologies you use. And we trained the facilitator beforehand on the process. On Monday, you actually just gather information. You gather information about the problem. You have expert interviews. You have you're doing research, competitor research. You're talking to a few customers, but not too many. So you have 8 people, so you can leverage those people. On Tuesday, with having all this knowledge, you kind of try to build many different solutions. Like you build a lot of different solutions and try to be very creative and inspired on the stuff you did research on. On Wednesday, you decide on the solution. It sounds simple, but it takes a whole day. You decide on what solution you will prototype. On Thursday, you build a prototype, and on Friday, you test it with 6 users, having 1-hour sessions, and then consolidate and decide on next steps. In the best case, you have a prototype which you invest a little bit more time in, and then refine, and then you go into building it. Or in the worst case, you need maybe another sprint of 2 or 3 days, or maybe another sprint of a week. But you make sure to be efficient on research. You make sure to be efficient in the user testing and prototyping. You bring people from different disciplines together. So it worked out really well. I think not every product and not every topic is meant to be right for design sprint, and I think the wording design sprint is also a bit misleading because it's not a design sprint, it's a concept sprint. You don't design anything there, you just create a concept and validate the concept, and you need a designer to work on it afterwards with the team to really fine-tune all the stuff. But I think it's a tool which you can use. You don't need to do it 5 days, you can also do it 3 days, but it has a lot of interesting methodologies that just focus you a lot and not make you waste, 3 months to figure out that this is actually not the topic you should focus on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That was good. I like it.
Que la famille.